The Bengals will be taking on the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
Need your top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. He is Zim Hude. I am Ace. We represent the Wincinnati podcast. How you doing today, Zim?
I'm doing pretty freaking good. We got a lot of stuff planned for you guys and ladies and gentlemen tonight. And AFC North champion, I'm going to say it every time you see me. Defending conference champion, I'm going to say it every time you see me. Because if I don't say it, nobody else will. I was online today. I'm seeing all these scenarios. If the Bills play the Chiefs, all this stuff like that, we the big dogs, and I walk like the big dog all day. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I walk like the big dog all day. I had this on earlier. Oh, somebody was like, "Oh, you're a Bengal fan?" They're like, "Yeah, you guys are good this year." I'm like, "Yeah, we were good a lot of years. I'm a big dog out here." Woo! And that's how I'm really walking. I'm stepping out here for real.
That's crazy because I ordered a pizza earlier and my wife answered the door, and we get a lot of merch and stuff like that. And so she had a Joey B shirt on. So she answered the door with a Joey B shirt. Then I came out and I had some Bengal stuff on, and I grabbed the pizza, and the dude was like, "Oh, you guys just got some good news because Lamar Jackson is going to be out." He was a Jags fan, but he was just talking, and my wife was like, "How did he know?" And she was like, "Oh, I got the Joey B shirt on and you got the Bengal stuff on." So yeah, bro.
He want to see that Jazz game bad, bro. Like I feel like that Jazz game is gonna be a good game, bro.
That I feel like, especially with what we know now about Lamar, especially what we know now about Tua, I feel like that is the game from the AFC perspective,
bro.
That is the game.
That should have been the Sunday night game straight up. And I'm a Bengals fan. Now Mike Williams isn't playing in that game, but still, bro, that's a good matchup. I'm really interested in seeing the Chargers in that Jags game. I think that's one of my favorite matchups to watch for sure.
They might be on upset alert. We'll see. But coming up on the show, we're going to talk about playoff time. The Bengals taking on the Ravens. We're going to give you guys a full preview on that. So stay tuned. And then also, Joe Burrow was on the Volume podcast this week, talked about how that environment Monday night against the Bills was the best environment. He wants the Bengals fans to bring that same energy to Paycor. So we will talk about that. And we're still talking about cheap shots. Today, Jamar Chase was interviewed, and he had some choice comments for Roquan. So we'll get to all of that coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast. All right, Zim, as we kind of talked about, it's going to be a situation now with Lamar Jackson that we cannot ignore anymore. A few hours ago, as we're recording this at 7:35 on Thursday, January 12th, Lamar Jackson tweeted out an update about his status. Essentially, what he said was he initially thought he had a grade 2 sprain. It ended up being closer to a grade 3 sprain. The swelling hasn't gone down. Essentially, he's admitting that he cannot play in this game. He wanted to be out there, but he is not going to be out there. I know we kind of were monitoring some of the lines, the betting lines, and we saw it go from 6.5 all the way to 10 this morning. So we knew that Vegas probably had some insight and information about it. And the fact that this knee is still swelling a month later, bro, that just doesn't seem like a good situation for him to play in. Doesn't seem like he really can play in it. What are your thoughts on Lamar and how that impacts this game, and just your overall thoughts on Lamar in the PCL?
Let me ask you before I go into my little spiel or whatever. Let me ask you this: do you buy the explanation that he got? That he gave everyone?
It's a tough situation because I think even if it was a grade 2, right, you're still playing with a knee injury in a year where you don't have any guarantees going forward. So for me, I think it's a combination of both. I think it's the health and I think it's the contract. I think if he had the security and he knew that, hey, if I go out here and play, you even look at times when T.O. signed that waiver to play on a broken leg in the Super Bowl, I think he would have thugged it out and honestly played. But I think without that security, he would be foolish to do that. And I know I brought up RG3, not saying it's the same thing, but RG3 played on a bad knee, and that ruined the rest of his career. He went from rookie of the year to Browns quarterback to out of the league and on ESPN before his career even got a chance to really take off. So I'm not mad at Lamar if it is him protecting himself, because if he were to go out there and risk playing for an organization that didn't really invest in him or really value him, especially after Roquan Smith just got paid, that's just – I thought that they really were sending a weird message by doing
ain't that crazy though?
That is weird, bro.
Like I honestly feel like this is like a theory. I had a tweet. If I was allowed to tweet, I was going to tweet. You know what Roquan reminded me of in that game? Vontaze Burfict. Like in this sense, his game is a lot like Vontaze.
Right.
He's a little bit slimmer than him, a little bit more agile, a little bit more mobility, right? But 16 tackles and nobody's talking about it. They're talking about all that.
He had 16?
Bro, he was everywhere.
He was everywhere.
But you see, that's how Vontaze Burfict's career was to me. He would have these monster games, even the playoff game that everybody talks about. Everybody talks about the antics and what they didn't like about it, but everybody's lost in the sauce. Like he knocked Ben out the game. It's a game-winning interception. Strip sack, fumble, all these different things. It was like the game of the year, but I thought it was like Vontaze Burfict dish, where he's just everybody's talking about everything except how good of a game he played. And I thought they got a glimpse to see that's what it looked like. You got this real generational, well, maybe not generational, really good linebacker that's playing really, really well, but yet you can't really celebrate it because he's doing all this little unnecessary stuff after the play. And early in Vontaze's career, I don't remember it being like that. Once the heat was on him, it was almost like he was just like, I don't even care. But it is what it is. I thought the funniest thing was like the Ravens social media and everybody had to know how we felt about Roquan, right?
Right.
And so everybody's like, he's dirty, da-da-da-da. And then the Ravens were like, shoot, I need to sign me up. It was like, as soon as he couldn't even get home, they was like, bro, come on back on over here. After a dirty game like that, let me give you $100 million. That's how it looked. And it was just crazy to me. But it's a wild thing with Lamar to me. Like I was saying this earlier in the spaces. For all the conversations where people say that the Bengals are poverty, like all the ops, like Ravens, Steelers, whatever, right? I've never seen somebody's injury so mismanaged. I've never seen somebody's contract so mismanaged in all my years watching football. That was this whole season has been a mess.
Right.
And think about it. Their team is good. Like a lot of stuff that they showed us, like their offensive line, like Powers stepping up. Remember left guard.
Yep.
Remember you was saying left guard was like a thing that boom. They dropped what was the Tyree Phillips? They dropped him from the team. Powers playing at a Pro Bowl level. You know what I'm saying? So you got this good offensive line. They're running the ball, second best in the league, 160 yards a game. You got a top 5 defense, but yet you got this distraction that you all created on yourselves from the beginning. And then Lamar came back and said, look, let me mess it up some more too. When the season starts, we ain't going to talk about my contract at all. Just totally closing the door. Right. So from a business standpoint, I just thought it was wild. Like, I'm like, you can't close the door on it because if something happens really good or me and you get together and be like, hey, bro, let's go to Ruby's real quick. Let's hash this out. You don't even so now communication lines is awkward. That's just a business standpoint. You can't not close the door on a potential deal unless somebody says like a franchise tag or something, it's against the rules. And they weren't against the rules. So, but the whole season, you got this weird dynamic, and I thought it showed. And so the statement that he put out today, I don't know if you got it pulled up, but the statement that he put out today, I told everybody in our Twitter space today, I said, it's not fair to Ravens fan. I'm going to call y'all Ravens fans for this one instance, not purple people. It's not fair to real Ravens fans that y'all are online taking up for this guy and coming to his defense, almost like you're his agent, you're his PR, you're everything, because he leaves you out on the dark on all the instances. All the Ravens front office didn't say any information at all. It's all tight-lipped, and everybody was like, well, Harbaugh is probably just a little bit of gamesmanship. That is stupid. You can't do stuff like that. And I just thought that they mismanaged the whole thing. And what it does to your teammates, it makes it so that now you're a distraction. And you didn't have to be a distraction. It makes you a distraction. Yep. And that's the thing that I thought like hurt them the whole time, because the whole week, you know what it's like. Like, say one of our guys go down, Lyle Collins go down or something like that. Now the players are like, all right, bet. Adeniji, it's your time, bro. All week we going up to Adeniji like, hey, like if I'm in the locker room. I'm in the locker room. I'm like, hey, bro, we about to turn up, da-da-da-da. They don't even know Lamar playing. So from a player standpoint, you can't even walk up to Tyler Huntley and be like, bro, we about to ball up. Like, you're a distraction. And I thought it was so mismanaged that the Ravens never came out and just said, this is what's going on. People were like, well, I think he's practicing in private. You can't do that, because the potential for suing you or whatever, if this dude got hurt off-site doing some like this, I knew that's cap. That's casual talk. But I just thought it was mismanaged poorly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've talked about this ad nauseum. This stuff should have been done 2 years ago. I mean, the Ravens honestly really super mismanaged this situation. EDC in that front office, they never got him really the weapons that they needed. They ended up trading away Hollywood Brown. They sat on the contract not doing it. They probably should have done it right after the Josh Allen deal was done, because that was before Deshaun Watson and any of that happened. So them literally sitting on their hands after this dude won an MVP, they could have signed him that year, cost them millions of dollars, and put them really in a situation where it just didn't make sense. And then like they get into this situation. I honestly feel like the reason Lamar said he was gonna like pretty much stop negotiating in season, I think he was trying to force their hand at the beginning of the season to just give him a deal, and they didn't. And the crazy thing is you see the Roquan trade happen, and it's like I said it when it happened. I was like, if they give Roquan a deal before Lamar, after all of these summers of negotiating, nothing happening, another situation, because another excuse that Ravens fans wanted to bring up was, hey, he's negotiating the deal himself. He doesn't have an agent. That's to his disadvantage. Neither does Roquan. Roquan goes in there, and within 4 or 5 weeks, they give Roquan the highest deal for a linebacker in the NFL, $100 million for a guy who was never there versus a guy that put this team on his back, 2019 MVP, all of this and that. And I think our good buddy of the Wincinnati network, Just Eric, brought up a good point.
I thought you were about to say Glizzy Goblin.
Good point. But he talked about how Marlon Humphrey came out and kind of had this weird tweet where it was like Roquan was able to negotiate with the Ravens while still being the leader of our team and leading us to the playoffs. And I thought that was kind of possibly a shot at Lamar, because Lamar's been in the same situation. And a lot of people around the team have said that Joy was gone. Lamar wasn't really going to all of the meetings because he was, upset. And you got to think, a couple of weeks before the injury happened, he was holding a sign talking about how he should be paid by one of the fans. So it's definitely a real thing. I don't think he feels valued by the franchise. We saw him like the pictures of him in the Dolphins uniform. Like, it's been a weird season for the Ravens.
I don't buy it, bro. I don't buy it. You know who I would listen to that said he should have played all this time was Dr. Chow, right?
Right.
And Dr. Chow all this time said he's on pace to play like as early as like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. And then
when he read the swelling stuff, he said that's super abnormal. He didn't want to throw him under the bus, but he was like, that's super abnormal at this stage of that injury. And that, you know what I'm saying? That's somebody that deals with that injury a lot. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just thought like all of the things about it, it's crazy. OC Minura earlier today had a video pod or something or a vlog, or he has a podcast himself. And he was saying that they asked him would he play under the same circumstances. He said, I actually did. And I played exactly like that. If I didn't play, I knew that I was going to go get the bag somewhere else. I did play, got through it, boom, went good. Next round, had another good game, 2 sacks, boom. Next game after that, made the play of the game, boom. I'm a Super Bowl champion. Now my name is in the stadium. And he was, right. And so that was his approach and his thing. But when the season started off, what was it? Dez Bryant, who is, I'm gonna tell you, the biggest Lamar supporter in the world is Robert Griffin III. Right. And every single time that he would get on TV, he will always go out of his way to talk about how great Lamar Jackson was. So I'm like, all right, that's probably somebody like kind of like in a mentor role that can at least give Lamar some type of whatever. The injury that you were telling me about, and you know, I'm in the DC area, same circumstances. Right. PCL, and you got all these guys that told him don't play. And so even if it's just a little bit, I don't feel good. They probably was like, bro, don't play. And I think he probably, like, if he could at least probably gave it a go. Because if you're getting swelling like 6 weeks later or something like that, like, bro, like I thought the tweet was carefully written too, where if you're getting swelling or something like that, it kind of leads me to believe that there was improper diagnosis of the actual injury at the very beginning. Because he was like, yeah, grade 2, maybe grade 3. To suggest like it had it been diagnosed at grade 3 at the beginning, you probably be talking maybe surgery at that point. Because remember, DJ Readers is like that. You're out, he missed 6 games, then he came back. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was very key in the statement that he wrote.
So I wanted to share this with everyone. This is a time lapse of John Harbaugh like responding to the injury early on in the process, and it goes to like him currently. Just listen to this. It's real interesting. I'm not trying to hate on Lamar. I want Lamar to get his money, but this is weird.
Definitive, but it's going to be a number, days to weeks. We'll see. We'll see if he can go back this week. If not, it'll be sometime after that shortly. He's been through the MRIs, and I would say it's kind of week to week. It's going to be a weekly thing. So as the week goes on, we'll see for this week. It's probably less likely for this week, but it's not impossible. And then after that, it'll become more and more likely.
I mean, are you so optimistic, whether it's this week or that he is going to be able to come back at some point this year?
Sure, of course.
As far as Lamar, do you expect him to practice this week?
Just have to see. I don't know. I don't have an expectation until I hear more today. I'm just probably going to leave all that stuff alone. I'm going to focus on the game and just get ready to coach our guys and have our guys get ready to play definitive. But it's going to be a number, days to weeks. We'll see. We'll see if he can go back this week. If not, it'll be sometime after that shortly. He's been through the MRIs.
So you hear all of that, and it's just like, what happened? What happened in this situation?
You can see by the fourth one, clearly a conversation had happened, and at that point, he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get myself out of the situation." I'm gonna tell you, the way that he handles injuries is so different than Zach Taylor. Just from the outside looking in, I know that J.K. Dobbins might have been cool, whatever, but just looking at his scar tissue. Remember, I showed you in the group chat, and then you think about J.K. getting his knee scoped again afterwards or whatever. Zach Taylor would like, nah. I can't see it, bro. Like, he's so cautionary with like the injuries or whatever. I can't imagine him like playing. And I think at one point he like, yeah, I mean, he's been in the business just, way longer than Lamar. So when he hears MCL, PCL sprain or anything like that, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, 2-3 weeks, put some spin on it, we back to go. Like, let's get it. He get to week 3, he like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly a conversation happened at that point. That's why I said I don't really buy it. Like, I think you would have at least been on a rehab field, bro. I think he just was like, I think Lamar some kind of sign of progress. I think Lamar at some point was just like, in his mind, I'm out of here, but I'm not going to tell them that now. But that's the part where I think he mismanaged it. He should have just said the statement he had just now. He should have been put that statement out. Right. Like, even if he thought he was getting close, he didn't even have to go into details like that. He could have just tweeted instead of like beating around the bush and liking and trolling all this stuff. He could have just said, hey, like, look, no matter what, I'm gonna give it my all. That right there would take away the conversation of, is it about my contract? And if that's the case, even if he was lying, at least his supporters would be able to say, see, I told you it wasn't just about the money. But you holding up signs saying you want the money, like
it's a lose-lose situation, man. Unless he would have, even if he would have strapped it up, let's say the knee is that, which some people in our comments said, hey, just show the knee. He doesn't have to show the knee. That's kind of wild.
Who said that?
Somebody was like, just show a picture of your knee, bro.
Just show it, bro.
That's wild.
What you think it's gonna look like?
I think I remember.
See how swollen it is.
Yep. And we warned Ravens fans about this in Spaces earlier, and I was like, all right, so, and this is after they didn't sign him, and he said he's going through the season. I said, what happens if he goes into the season and he has an injury where if he plays on it, he's probably going to sit down. He's probably going to get the surgery.
Bro, I swear to God, we never taught purple people the whole summer. If you said anything about Lamar, they were coming in the Spaces. So we were like, we had a meeting behind the scenes like, bro, do not do that because it's just going to take hours of your day. And they already think we care about them. Like, let's not even talk. The one day that we did, this is right before the season. And I remember the one day, and we didn't even call the space, whatever. We talked about them for like an hour out of an 8-hour day. Right. In that hour, I talked to like 3-4 purple people. We like, bro, I'm not wishing injury on no one. Right. But the possibility of him being injured is something. And all of them said he's not going to get injured. And I said, you're not being real. And here we are.
We said the same about Bateman. We said it
anybody,
about Lamar.
Bro. Anybody. I'm not taking no victory laps on no injury.
Nah,
I'm just saying that this is football, bro. Like,
anything that can happen will happen.
This is modern day gladiators, bro. Like, I pray all the time, and I always be like, hey, like, God, all the people that I love, all the people I care about, just, like, and even the people I don't, I just pray for like better health and all these things. And I do that every single day of my life on the strength of I know how this game goes. When when it goes on my phone, I'm never really surprised. Because I've been around the sport so long, and that's why when they talk about injuries and stuff to me, it just goes right off. Like, I'll be like, "This is how this goes, bro." Like, your favorite players don't play because of one little knee injury, and then it's a domino effect on other areas on that same leg, or because they're showing more. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a part of playing ball, bro. Like. Right. And that's why our players want guaranteed contracts. So it goes hand in hand.
For sure. Well, speaking of another quarterback, Joe Burrow, our quarterback, has called for our fans to be loud Sunday night. Says that Monday night's atmosphere was the best he was around when we played the Bills. I think that this is something that we can really create in Cincinnati. I feel like we've seen a lot of it this season, right? Whether it was the whiteout game that you were at, that was electric. I think back to some of the games that were even on the road. The Bengals have been a team that the fans have traveled well, and you've even heard them in the opposition stadiums. I think that's just another big thing, especially if you got somebody like Snoop Huntley at quarterback who's been limited, hasn't really been taking the snaps. And if you can kind of confuse them and cause false starts or delays of game in this situation, I think that helps them. What are your thoughts on Joe calling everybody to come to the jungle and just make it a jungle for the Ravens?
We're gonna roll up Huntley on Sunday night, or if it's whoever it is. I'm here to tell you the Bengals allow the lowest completion percentage, the lowest passer rating in the National Football League. Only one 300-yard passer, and he got that through garbage time, and his name is Tom Brady. The Bengals defense is the untold story of the NFL in the 2022 season, bro. It's like an afterthought, but not only do they cause turnovers, not only are like most of their players like highly ranked in whatever metric system you believe in, but they make plays and they make quarterbacks' lives hell. Lou Anarumo did an interview one time with Hobson and said one of his things is just making the quarterback uncomfortable, and this game plan pretty much starts at that point. So if it's Tyler Huntley, I'm not calling him Snoop. I don't give none of these bums no cool nicknames or none of that. Like, your mama named you Tyler, and I'm about to pack me up some Tyler on Sunday night. That stadium that you see, if y'all watching on YouTube right now, is electric. And I just think that needs to be a common theme. How do we get there? By believing. If everybody believes that this team is that, then we'll give them all that every single time. Now, part of that, the organization's got to meet the fans, and make sure that they're going all out to go acquire new talent, make sure that they're drafting correctly. And I believe that if these guys continue to win on this level, the stadium will be like this. And TJ Houshmandzadeh told us this. Damato Pecco told us that the Jungle is an underrated stadium, and it's super, super loud, and people don't pay attention to that. Even in that Bills game early on, I thought Josh Allen looked almost starstruck. I thought like early on they called a timeout. Remember that stadium is going to affect a guy like that already is behind the 8 ball. I'm surprised the spread isn't higher than what it really is. I really believe that, and I think they're only doing that on the strength of how good the Ravens defense is, because there's no world I live in that the Ravens are going to that the Bengals aren't going to be able to put up 27, 28 points. And the Ravens, like, go look at their scores in their last 7-8 games. And now you're playing one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. And I'm playing Trey Hendrickson for a whole entire game. You are done. Like, I you know me, I don't talk none of that trash before the game. People say turnovers and all that stuff like that. I just don't get it. Like, even if that happens, sure. But Burrow's coming right back, and you don't have the firepower to match me.
You don't. I mean, the one thing that I remember, typically when you go to the Steelers game, right? Think about how there were no Steelers, like, fans really there week one. Like, week one, off the rip. How many people did we talk to after the Bengals went to the Super Bowl that said they got season tickets? I know people, our buddies, Jake and mine, they live in Florida. They have season tickets. Our man Houday, baby, that just moved to Tampa, he has season tickets. There are people. Our other dude, I believe he's from it escapes me right now. I think Missouri. He goes to the game. He has season tickets. Like, there are Bengals fans.
He's talking about Tyrone. Oh, no, he's from St. Louis. He's from St. Louis.
Right, Missouri. My bad. I was thinking about the Rams. But yeah, he even gets to go there as well. Like, the Jungle is definitely a place where you're going to hear us. You're going to hear us on TV. You're going to hear the crowd. You're going to have to play in that atmosphere. And we've seen it where the crowd has had an effect on these games. So if you don't think that that's going to be a factor for the Ravens and them trying to communicate, especially imagine PBS going crazy and the Migos come out in a formation and Joe's audible and they're switching everything and they're trying to talk to each other and they can't even. Roquan's like, I can't hear you. What am I supposed to do? That's how blown coverages happen. That's how first downs happen. That's how touchdowns happen.
Bro,
so I'm with Joe.
It was 3 major plays that I went back and looked at. I mean, Joe just missed guys running wide open.
Facts.
And I mean that wasn't a hostile game. Like, that was a game where we were kind of rearing back or whatever. Like, that environment is tough on anybody. And I just think you couple that with the fact that's why I'm not trying to look ahead, but that's why it makes me so angry. I get so angry that the Bills game is, if we were to play them, is not at Paycor. We would dust them at Paycor. Like, dust them up. Yeah. They do not have the personnel to stop the Migos. The Ravens somewhat do. They're missing the edge rushers, but the Bills don't have like the Von Millers of the world to disrupt it enough. And I don't think in that Paycor we saw how that look. And it makes me so mad for the sport of football. Like, we didn't get a chance to hash that out or go to a neutral site, because the Bengals fans do travel well.
Yeah, I've seen it myself. We saw it in New Orleans, which obviously there's a lot of fans of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. So we kind of expected that, but it was split. And how many stadiums have we been to in a row, bro, where we're leaving out saying Houday and just crowds of people? Like, it has been unlike any year that I can even remember with Bengals fans. I always felt like we traveled, especially going to Jacksonville games and games down here.
Them Tennessee games be feeling like home games. I know it's somebody in the house tonight that been to the Nashville games. I swear to goodness, bro. Like, I'd be like, people will show me a video from it and the one from last year and stuff. I'd be like, bro, are y'all at Paycor? Like, it be so many Bengals fans. Like, I don't know.
The Bengal boys, I think the dude that we interviewed from there, he said, like, that's like Paycor South.
Can you imagine them making the neutral stadium over there? Like, I'll be like, yeah, that's a dub. Like, I swear to goodness, bro, when we play, it is lit. The Bills are getting bailed out if they play. Like, not only the Bills don't got to play two or something like that, just like we ain't got to play Lamar. But if they had to come to Paycor, I would be talking so reckless. Like, I promise you. Their only hope is home field advantage if we were to play them. I swear to goodness.
I agree. TJ Patterson with a $25 super chat says games got to get played and business got to get handled.
Yes,
I completely agree with that. We got another one here for $5 from my man Jimmy Robinson. He asked, do you guys think that Roquan's deal was a slap in the face to Lamar? And do you think it's possible that the Ravens can potentially trade Lamar? Yes, it was a slap in the face to Lamar, in my opinion.
They took the money that Roquan had. They gave it to Roquan, and then like in the backhand part of it, they just smacked it right across Lamar's face and then handed it to Roquan.
They put some baby powder and they slapped Lamar's beak off with that. It was so disrespectful. I think the trade possibility of Lamar is funny because literally this time last year where it was looking like the Ravens weren't committing to Lamar, and at that point, Snoop Huntley was actually looking decent. He had them in games. They even should have beat the Rams, who ended up beating us. And I was like, man, they might want to trade Lamar for a king's ransom if they're not going to extend him and try to move on and do something with that. Now I think it's definitely a possibility. Like Lamar can force a trade. A lot of people are just assuming that he would sign the franchise tag. He doesn't have to sign it. He could say, I'm not signing this unless you trade.
You know what he's going to do? You're a fan of the NBA just as much as the NFL. Right. It's just a sign and trade, bro. Sign it like it's gonna be a deal already set out for a suitor. Right. The value of Lamar has gone down because of the knee. Like I told everybody, like if he were to get injured, it's not gonna help him that you just got hurt 2 years straight. So he already ruined his value. I don't think it goes lower down because everybody knows potentially what he brings to the table. Right. But he keeps him at the same level. So the guarantees that he were talking about before gonna be at the same level. But it's just a sign and trade deal. Like he is not playing for them under a franchise tag. There is no franchise-worthy quarterback in the National Football League that would dare even do it, which is essentially what they gave him earlier this season in my mind, except it wasn't for 40-something million. It was like $24 million or whatever, which for a player of his caliber is chump change. I know that sounds crazy, but it is what it is.
This is what they did to Lamar. They slapped Lamar with that one. That was nasty. That was nasty. They put that baby powder and slapped him.
I'm telling you, they took the money and just said, whoosh, and then when they got through the full backhand, they just said, "Here you go, Roquan." Like this whole thing is just insane. And for them defending it and stuff like that towards Bengals fans just to save face is like the most disgusting activity on Twitter right now. Like, take the L. On Sunday, I'm gonna ask them, do they want suede or leather? Because it's a couch.
It's definitely a couch.
It's a couch.
Speaking of some of the stuff, shout out to my man Frank Mitchell, says Paycor is gonna be lit. Speaking of some of the stuff, Jamar Chase was interviewed today. He said that Roquan Smith, he did that on purpose. It's all right. We got something for that. I feel like I heard something else where a lot of people said that it really was just Roquan out there doing extra stuff. What are your thoughts on how Jamar and them will handle Roquan based off of the antics?
I think that as long as Jamar and company just stay focused in the task at hand and just understanding it's just an obstacle on what they're trying to do to get to the goals that they want, hopefully Roquan and them will do the same because they got a lot to prove themselves. Like they want to be able to prove that we are a good team. And I do think the purple people are a good team. but at the same time, you know, you can't let it go crossing the line because you could hurt your team. Because if you give Joey B an extra 15 yards, I'm going to gladly take it and he's going to make you pay for it. So Jamar Chase has to be cognizant of the fact that if you do something, you know, like extracurricular, then there's a chance that, you know what I'm saying, you could give them an added advantage that you don't need to give them. Because if you just play them straight up, you're going to win 9 times out of 9 times. I was looking at the first clip and was like, where you going with this one, partner?
Oh, yeah, that was a joke. That was a joke with that one.
I was like, oh, you trying to say that they soft over there? I ain't know what else.
Nah, it was somebody like clothesline, and it was just basically illustrating how dirty Roquan was. I mean, I think, like you said, some of the things that I was listening to Marvin Lewis and Mike Zimmer today talk about this matchup, really talking about Roquan Smith and
Marvin Lewis was talking about
Marvin Lewis and Mike Zimmer.
Wow.
They were talking about this situation, and what they talked about is the Ravens came out with that cover 2, right? We've seen it, the 2 high look. We've seen that. He said what the Bengals did to counter that was they came out and empty. They spread the Ravens out to get everybody in one-on-one situations. And what they did is they had the receivers like Chase and Tyler Boyd. They lined them up inside to make sure that they could get potentially on a linebacker. They were playing the big dime look with Kyle Hamilton. Sometimes he was on Tyler Boyd a lot. And what they did is they had them run these option choice routes, and they got them to about 7 yards, and they let them move in space. And they could take that from anywhere to 7 to 12 yards. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. And that's how Jamar Chase can get Roquan back, because there will be points where Roquan will be on a Chase or a Boyd. And I think that when he says we got something for that, I'm sure at some point, if Jamar lines up in the slot, which I think he did 30% of the snaps last game, if he gets on Roquan, I don't know if you really want that, bro. He's trying to do this whole thing where he's getting in Jamar's head, and I really just think back to that Chiefs game where the Chiefs defender goes up, breaks up the pass, hits the gritty, and what does Jamar Chase do right after that? Burns him for 6, especially after he just got burnt by Najee, and you wanna play with fire with Chase? I don't know.
The way that Chase and T and Boyd can get everybody back is to just destroy them on the field. There's nothing better than that. There is no dirty hit that could do that. Like, the reason why purple people hate us so much and they got so jealous of the Bengals' success is because of how we made them look in both of those instances. They think that they want, like, oh yeah, if Lamar come out there like, bro he wasn't cast in Black Panther. Last time I checked, he ain't got vibranium. He surely don't have it in his knee, right? So he played last year. He had 80-something yards rushing or whatever. What did they get them? A 20-something point L in all these tiers across my timeline. So you could tell me about all the late hits and all that other weird stuff you want. The best way to get them back is to embarrass them on the field with players that they can't match up with. And I just think that Jamar Chase has to be, I think he knows that. And like you said, like lining them up and getting them in advantageous positions so that you could take advantage of the matchups. Roquan Smith is an excellent linebacker, but he can't cover Jamar Chase in space, Tyler Boyd, or T. Higgins in any world. Can he hit him? Sure, but you got to catch me.
For sure. I agree with you on that. Speaking of our other wide receiver, T. Higgins returned to practice today. There were reports yesterday that he was out of practice due to an illness. Returns to practice today. Really kind of seemed to dispel a lot of the rumors. A lot of people talked about the hip pointer and all of that. Our good friend of the show, Petraglia Trags, he's quoted to you saying that his body is fine, just some aches, and he was able to run 20 miles an hour. That's what the GPS had him when he ran his routes on Thursday. Zen, what are your thoughts on T. Higgins? Like, what do you see him doing in this game? It looks to me like he's good to go. I would expect him to be T. Higgins this Sunday. What about you?
T. Higgins. I think he's good to go. They just said it was an illness before, a little precautionary stuff, whatever. I don't feel any type of way. I feel like he's ready to go. Guys are, locked in, and I feel good. I don't have any inside information or anything like that, but I do know that the hip pointer that was brought up by a couple of people maybe was an issue or something from, the hit that he took or whatever, but he looks to be pretty good to go. Went full today. Answer questions and that's the code. Like if you're 100%, you feel good, you talk to reporters, talk to teammates. He was posting on his Instagram and everything like that. Like that, when players are feeling good, like that's how they go. So I'm good.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing him back at practice, I think that means a lot. That's good. I think that they're good to go. And he's a big part of what the Bengals do, right? Like, you really think about it, he got knocked out of that game earlier. And I think he is what makes the Bengals and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd so dangerous, because you literally have to put somebody with bracket coverage potentially over Jamar. And when that happens, T's going to kill you or vice versa. So,
and how they line up in the slot, it's very hard for you to do that, because even when you go into the slot, And if they motion into the slot or anything like that, you're going to have to follow me. And if you don't, I understand that you're in your zone concepts or whatever. Even if you want to change and get creative, that's where the miscommunications and different things like that happen. So it's hard to bracket guys in the slot. On the outside, you can bracket and have linebackers at that second tier come over, drop into that zone area, had a safety over top, and then a corner that travels with them or whatever. So from the slot, it's tough. So if they want to do that, it seemed like what they were doing last game, they were going man to man with Humphrey on Higgins, and then they had Jamar Chase.
They kept Humphrey on the outside. Sometimes he goes inside, but he was on the outside.
But I will tell you this: I think that Joe won't miss that throw that he threw, where he did overthrow him, and I also think that they know that if they see that continuously one-on-one with him, and you do want to bracket the Jamar Chase, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd are going to eat up the seams, mixing in the flat. If you're allocating one-on-one coverage, cool. That allows you to have another defender in the vicinity and break off of those coverages, come over and help some of the guys underneath. But if you're going single with Marlon, and I give it that's your best corner, I'm going to throw a jump ball opportunity for him, a couple, and you're not going to win that. I'm going to win that matchup. So you got that playing with him or whatever. I just think that that's why the Bengals are so dangerous, where there's not a team that you could show me unless it's like the Eagles or somebody where you're just saying, like, when I get A.J. Brown one-on-one and Devontae Smith, like, there is no other team in my mind that has it at that level. There are guys that you really like, but there is no team that you're that confident with a one-on-one matchup here. I'm gonna beat you. One-on-one matchup, like, it's just too many. There's no team that can match up with that, and I just don't see it happening. At least not for a full game of football.
Right. So now we're into the next segment of giving me the game plan for the offense. Zim kind of gave a little bit of the game plan already. I think the game plan is really similar to what Marvin Lewis said, right? They're going to do the too high. The interesting thing is they've been doing something a little bit different with keeping Marlon on the outside, running the big dime package with Kyle Hamilton. I was listening to Greg Cosell earlier today. He's wondering if they do that and run that same defense with Marcus Peters coming back. So he seemed to think that there could be a drastic change to how they really defend the Bengals. At the end of the day, these teams know each other. They're going to run too high. We know that that's going to happen. They did it early on. They did it last time that we played them. They'll do it again. How did the Bengals beat that? I think moving Chase around, hitting Tyler Boyd, hitting Hayden Hurst, running the ball when you can, getting the ball to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon can catch the ball and get out into the space. You're going to have to take what the defense gives you, but also take your shots. I think we saw in the Bills game, they opened that game with a deep ball launch like you talked about with Jamar. Doing things like that to keep their defense off balance, I think is what they have to do offensively. Be themselves. Get into that rhythm. Make sure that you complete third down. Make sure that you are able to convert in the red zone, because this is one of the top red zone defenses in the NFL. As long as you do that and you ensure that those passing lanes are clean for Burrow, I think that you're good. What do you think? Like, do you think that this is this a Migos game? Is this a balanced game? I know you kind of talked about you wanted to see them run the ball a little bit more, but now that we know Lamar isn't in this game, has anything changed for you from an offensive standpoint with what the Bengals need to do?
No, I think they have to stick to what got them here on this 8-game win streak. I know a casual person will probably lean to the fact that they think that the Bengals right tackle will probably be like a downgrade because of the La'el Collins injury. But I thought Adeniji looked really good on an island in a bunch of instances. He had about two reps that I thought were like maybe wins or whatever. But Adeniji has better footwork. It's not like the Bills that have the worst left tackle in the NFL and Spencer Brown. It's not that type of thing. But at the same time, I'm sorry. I can't help myself. All right. But back to Auburn. The Bengals just have to be able to work off of different things that they shown last week or whatever, and be able to work and go to the next layer of that play. It's very simple what they need to do. You talked about Mixon catching the football. Mixon and P. Ryan have over 90-something catches, I think, on it, or some crazy stat I saw earlier in the season, whatever. Like, they have more catches than Tyler Boyd and everything like that. So it's one of those things, man. Underneath, just take the check down when you need to. We saw the blitz earlier, like even in that Bills game where Hayden Hurst takes advantage of it or whatever. So you can't blitz him. I think Joe Burrow's just learned so much information, even from the first time that we played the Ravens and they showed us that strong 6 look. That's really hard to throw intermediate underneath, and it's really hard to improvise and scramble, but you can get behind it. So there are different things that I think he's learned. Line Jamar Chase up in the slot to give yourself the matchups that you want. See if Marlon Humphrey travels. If he doesn't, take your one-on-one matchup with T. Higgins. And it's simple. Joe Burrow pre-snap will be able to process whatever he wants. Don't try to do too much. If they don't do, you know what I'm saying? If you don't make a mistake in this game early on, they don't have a shot. If you do make a mistake, you know that Shiesty's going to come back. But at the end of the day, you don't need to be in that situation. We won a lot of games this year and last year where Bengals simply just like Jets game, like Dolphins game this year, where you just get a good lead. Even like last week too. You get a good lead and then you kind of take your foot off the gas. And it's a little problematic sometimes, but I think the defense is super underrated in that aspect. If you keep on dropping back, and you do have a lead, instead of just blowing them out, that's giving you more times that you can put the ball in harm's way. And I don't think you need to do that with this team that has shown that they're unable to score over 16 points. It's not a conservative game plan because you come out early on, guns are blazing, and don't waste opportunities. And I think that's a major key in the game. Major key. That's a dimer.
For
that
sure.
throw right there is a dimer. That throw right there, and remember the Mixon throw in the Panthers game was voted in the ESPN Next Gen stats as one of Burrow's best throws. But I mean, this is what he does, bro. He doesn't miss.
Right.
He doesn't miss, bro. Like I just
the
don't.
Purple
I don't
people
think
messing with my Wi-Fi. For those that were looking at it at home, the video stopped playing a little bit. But like you said, bro, dimers, switching to the other side of the ball. Give me the game plans and what are we doing on defense, bro? What are we doing against this team?
I think on defense, you just have to make sure that you make Huntley or Brown's life like hell out there. And I just think that that's the key to everything. Make sure that DJ Reader enforces his will like in the game early on. Do not allow them to get big runs. And if you do give up a couple or something like that, make sure that you limit them to field goals every single time. Is that simple? I guess, but that's what it is. You can't beat the Bengals with, field goals, and that's why we always say they got to play us, right?
Yeah, I agree. They got to play us. I think forcing turnovers is major. Slowing down the run, J.K. Dobbins, I know we did a piece with Ing Raven. I think he's a major key. Slowing him down defensively, I think, is something there. You talked about Trey Hendrickson and how he was able to take advantage of Ronnie Stanley. We could see some of that in this game. It'd be interesting for me to see how they use Dax Hill. I know some people were watching him today at practice. Looked like he was working on some stuff. I think that they could do a lot of different looks against this Ravens offense. Snoop Huntley, him coming back into it, like he really didn't look good before. Like, honestly, the kid that we played against put up more points than Snoop Huntley really had done before that. They were averaging 13 points with this offense. I think you got to slow down. Obviously, Mark Andrews. It starts with those two, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews. Let somebody else on that offense beat you because guess what? They don't have anyone else. I don't even know if Gus Edwards is playing in this game. So if it's got to be Kenyon Drake and maybe even Isaiah Likely that they have to depend on, I'll take that. As long as it's not Mark Andrews and as long as it's not J.K. Dobbins, as long as they get these turnovers, win the turnover margin just like they did in that game, that could be crucial to helping this offense convert in the red zone and get opportunities. As long as they do that, I think that they should be good. So that'll bring us to the prop bets. We got some over-unders here. The first one that we have to tee up for Joe Burrow, over or under, Zam, 249.5 yards for Joe Burrow.
I'm going to take the under. Because I think that the Bengals could have a successful game with a bunch of scores or whatever, and Joe Burrow still throw for like 220, 240.
I could see that. I'm not exactly sure where I'm
If he goes
looking
over
at.
that, that's crazy.
That would be crazy.
If he goes over 250 on the Ravens in a game of this magnitude, divisional like lookout league, because he giving whoever we play next round 350.
So I cheated a little bit. I had to go and look at what his average yards against the Ravens have been through his career. Believe it or not, 311 yards per game, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 100 quarterback rating. Give me the over, bro. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier in Spaces on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter, definitely follow the Wincinnati Pod at Wincinnati Pod on Twitter. Follow Zim at Zim Hude, myself at New Stripe City. We kind of talked a little bit about how once Joe figures out a defensive coordinator, or he sees a certain defensive coordinator or a defensive look, such as the 2-man high, which we've seen a lot, he figures it out. It's like, I even think back to the Jags game that me and you went to where he knew what the defensive coordinator was going to do on that play where he went to CJ. I think he learns that in this game. I think that he's going to win that battle against the defensive coordinator. But I can completely understand where you're coming from, because that defense is going to give him some great looks out there. So he could very well finish under 249. I'm going to say he's going to at least get 250, 260, maybe even 3.
It's going to be close. I think that this is definitely going to be the best Burrow game, this season. Like, better than week 5, better than last week for sure. Knowing what we know, he's got the information. He's locked in, bright lights, Paycor Stadium. He said all week, the game just slows down for me when I'm in these type of positions, and he thrives off of it. And I think that's why he's so perfect for Cincinnati or Wincinnati. It's just, for so long, prime time, that's where we faltered. And now you got this guy that's just saying, like, nah, give me that. That's why I feel better. I feel like when I step my game up in those moments, I watch all the other people step their game down.
Right. So first player, either team with the receiving touchdown Sunday night. Man.
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst for Zim. That's a great one. I like that. I don't think it's going to be
if they score a touchdown, it's going to be either rushing or it's going to be Mark Andrews.
I don't think it's going to be a Raven. I think even if the Ravens were to score first.
Who's the first? I thought you were saying first for each team.
Either team. I
Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst.
I'm going Hayden Hurst.
I'm going to go with receiving touchdown Sunday night. I'm going to go with an interesting one, man. I'm going to go with Samaje Perine. I think that they're going to get down there and they're going to do a little dump off to Samaje, and he's going to be able to run it in the end zone. I don't know what the odds on that are. They're probably plus 10,000 because they're probably thinking like Zim is thinking it's either Jamar Chase, Hayden Hurst, or one of these guys.
If you had to pick somebody on the Bengals side versus the Ravens side, who would you pick?
If I had to pick someone on the Ravens side?
Yeah, that you think would get a receiving touchdown.
Mark Andrews.
Is Marcus Peters playing?
Yeah, he should be playing. He should be back for this game.
I feel like that works in our advantage. I know that sounds a little crazy.
It does. It does.
I just think he'll take the chances and Burrow. Like, the only thing that I think he could do is cheat on screens and stuff like that, like all the stuff they ran last week.
Right.
And wouldn't that be a strategy for them to show the same exact look? He gets coached up on screen and he jumps screens like you wouldn't believe.
Are you saying that Marcus Peters is gonna pick one and do a pick?
No,
oh,
I'm saying that Burrow and them are setting them up to fake throw the screen and then just go double move and go right past them because he can't help himself. That's how he gets cooked. He can't help himself. That's what
got him traded from Kansas City. He took
I think he's going to bite on all of that stuff that he just saw the week prior watching film and say when they do this, they're going to do this. Even if he goes back and look, if you look the 2-3 weeks, we started throwing way more bubble screens. He wants to jump those. He wants to jump every. I think if he bites on them, Burrow and them make them pay. I think like we've been setting them up for the last 3-4 weeks, like really playing chess.
Who will have more defensive sacks, the Bengals or the Ravens? Bengals had 4 last time. Ravens had 2. But in this situation, the Bengals had 2 new linemen starting there. Ajabo had a sack last time.
How you get the sack off a face mask? I'm going Bengals, bro. Trey Hendrickson is going to dominate, bro.
So you got Bengals. I'm probably gonna go with the Bengals as well. It's going to be close though. It won't be, I think, 4-2. I think it'll be like we get one more sack possibly than them. It's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be 4-2 again.
4-2. Okay.
4-2 again.
All right.
Bengals 4, Ravens 2.
Facts for sure. So speaking of cooking up some chicken, some raven, some birds,
cooking some pigeon.
Let's toss it to our friends at Midwest.
They do not cook pigeons at Midwest Best Barbecue. Just letting y'all know.
They do not. They cook actual chicken. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, our friends over there, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. We got a special announcement. Midwest Best Barbecue, if you want some G-Funks, if you want some Uno wings, if you want the Hawaiian joints, after the Bengals win on Sunday, they're going to do a touchdown Thursday. When the Bengals win, you win and you get 6 free wings. It's going to be the first 100 customers. That's right. They're giving out 600 total free wings. Let them know Ace and Zim sent you for touchdown Thursday. Thursday, after the Bengals win, you get 6 free wings. Nothing goes better with a playoff win than wings from Midwest Best Barbecue. So check them out. 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. You can also go to their website and book an order, midwestbarbecue.com. They'll get you taken care of. Let them know Ace and Zim sent you.
So, but just to be clear, Bengals win. The first 100 people that come to the restaurant on that Thursday, on this upcoming Thursday, get free 6 wings, correct?
Facts.
All right, just making sure.
Oh, Thursday now.
On Thursday.
Thursday, yes, sir.
So we win on Sunday, Thursday. Whoa! I mean, I'm telling you right now, I love the wings. Getting 6 will give you a chance to go get 6 of another flavor, so you can go try the Unos, go get 6 Uno. Like that's awesome. I think that's dope
for sure. Another thing that we got to talk about, wild card round. We'll go through these pretty quick. Dolphins versus Bills Sunday at 1 p.m. Tua is going to be out. Skylar Thompson. I agree with them. Unfortunately, it's going to be the Bills in that one. Now, this one we probably have a little bit of some analysis or debate on. Wild card round, Chargers versus the Jags. They're playing in Jacksonville Saturday.
How's everybody around the way? How's everybody like? Are you seeing people start to get a little hype for the Jacksonville game?
The piece of dude was a Jags fan. He was hyped. He was hyped, talking about he was ready to do it. I know a lot of people.
I'm happy for them, bro.
I'm happy for them as well. I feel like I had a friend and I remember telling him at the Thursday night football, I'm like, look, we've been in this same situation. Your quarterback, Trevor's just got to learn how to win. Burrow went through the same thing. Once that light comes on, I was like, you're going to be good. Y'all will be going to the playoffs like it's nothing. It seemed like that light really came on this year against Dallas. Like Trevor just started to turn up.
It was in a volatile situation. You know, our guy Kyle Caskey, Coach Caskey, great, running back coach, but they were all put in some bad situations, and a lot of people are no longer in that situation. And when they cleared that up and gave him Dougie P, and a guy that's really good with, I love Doug Peterson's book. If y'all haven't, I forgot the name of it, but if y'all get a chance, it's one of my favorite reads.
So are you taking the Jags? You talking about Dougie P?
I'm gonna take the Jags on the strength of I think it's dope for like them to get it
Right.
Not to try to poo on the Chargers, but at the same time, I just feel like the Chargers, when they get their stuff back together, like they're going. Like we might be talking about the Chargers like next year with a new coach or something, like running the AFC West. But at this point, I just feel like it's not their time. I feel like the Jags gotta like they got the window of opportunity to show Lawrence like this is his time. I'm taking Jags, bro. I think if Mike Williams was playing, I might say Chargers, but I'm gonna go Jags just on some.
I'm gonna go Jags too. I think Dougie P, you hit the nail on the head. I think he's gonna be a big factor. I don't believe in that coach over there in LA. I just
But this is the crazy thing. I kind of want the Chargers to win if Mike Williams would be able to play. They have the best shot to knock out the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, I agree.
I think the Jags will get steamrolled by the Chiefs. That's the only thing.
That is the only
thing. You never know, though. Chiefs went overtime.
They played the Chiefs pretty decent this year, but this is playoff ramifications. This is in Kansas City. We all know how hard it is to play over there. You know, the crowd noise, the crowd noise, might get you. If you ain't got Joey B, I don't know. But rate your Bengals confidence meter for this Sunday against the Ravens. If it's from a 1 to 10, 1, Marvin Lewis playoff Bengals, to 10, 2021 Evan McPherson kicking for a trip to the Super Bowl, I'm going to say 15. Book it. Like this to me, no Lamar Jackson, bro. This is almost like the Miami Buffalo game. Like it just happens to be a better defense, but this is just that same matchup with a Gucci jacket. In my opinion, in terms of that, what are your thoughts on your confidence level for this Sunday?
I feel more confident in this game than probably I've ever felt in any playoff game. I don't know. First round last year, I felt really confident too. But confidence meter out of 1 out of 10, I'm going to go 8.5.
Okay. Oh, that's 8. Not bad.
It's always any given Sunday, but I'm going to go 8.5. Considering like their quarterback last week, just like his QBR rating. I think you was telling me his QBR rating
was it was single bad. Digit. It was
bro
like 6.
It was 4 turnovers, could have been 7. Like, nah.
Yeah, that was nasty. Well, this is
Huntley ain't that much better, and he got a bum shoulder. Like, nah, not happening.
Not happening at all. Wincinnati Podcast comes at you guys Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We come every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Hit that like button. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Follow us on Twitter at the Wincinnati Pod. Follow him at Zim Hude. Follow me at New Stripe City. If you see that whole lot of orange that Zim is wearing, you can catch that at zimhude.com. If you're looking for the Trace Amigos merch, that's at newstripecity.com. Tap in with us. We're going to be on Twitter Spaces. Also tap in with the rest of the Cincinnati Podcast Network. The Bengals Pulse with Jake and Mine. They do a great job right after the game. They're going to have another episode for you previewing tomorrow's game, or not tomorrow's game, Sunday's game, but they're going to be on the Cincinnati Podcast Network tomorrow, so you can catch that episode and see those guys. We also got the 513 with our man Eric. Definitely check him out. I
think that went up yesterday, right? I saw that. So. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but his episode he had, the previous one was fire too. So make sure y'all watch. If y'all like us, we got some really good talent on some of these other channels, like not just blowing smoke here.
Nah, not at all. And let us know what you guys like and what you don't like. We definitely take a look at some of that. Definitely leave us a review in the podcast store.
Reviews.
We appreciate that. If you give us a 5-star, that just helps other Bengals fans find us. We hear you guys' kind words about us on Twitter. Please just take the time to fill that out for us. We appreciate it, whether it's on Spotify. Most of you guys might be on Apple Podcasts. Check us out because we're in any store, Google Podcasts, all of them.
Super Chat asking about Alex Kappa. Another one asking, are we coming to the game? Alex Kappa, from a source that I know related to Alex Kappa, said that he anticipated Alex Kappa being out the entire playoffs, but potentially could come back for a Super Bowl. Does have a boot on. I am here to tell you, Max Sharpen only played 4 snaps this past game, right? but 2019 second round pick, right? Played 3 seasons, played at right guard all of last year. A lot of teams could have had him. We were low on the waiver wire, and we got him only because the Bengals were willing to spend the money on a $2.4 million cap hit potentially. That's the reason why the Bengals got him, because he's a talented guy, and a lot of other organizations were being cheap. And he's a guy that has starting pedigree, and is really good at what he does, pass protection wise, and he's a big guy, and I think his game is really good, and I think we'll be fine. But Alex Kappa potentially could come back for the Super Bowl, maybe sooner. Frank Mitchell says, y'all coming to the game. Stay tuned for me. I'm trying to work out something logistically. On Monday, I have to do something work-related. I'm trying to get a red out or trying to figure out something, whatever, but I'm going to keep you posted. Check my Twitter. I'll be back on Sunday morning where I'm going to go crazy. I got receipts. I got a lot of ops I'm ready to cook up. Don't you worry. I will let y'all know. You will know if I'm in town.
Yep, I will not be in town just because the game is so late. So you guys hold it down for Wincinnati. And this has been the Wincinnati Podcast. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, sir. Hello, world. We got a special show, as always. TJ Hushmanzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah. Shock the world.